At Content Radar, we've decided to start this format called Relay to ask founders and marketeers about the tricks and tips they are applying to grow their business. So mostly we have earlier stage B2B founders and CMOs like yourself. And we're going to try to keep it short and crisp. Tell us who you are, where you're based, and what the business does in one sentence.
So I'm Monica Zaldivar. I came to Berlin 2006, and I was lucky enough to get in the middle of the startup scene in Berlin. Came as a student in Erasmus, but started first internship in a startup, and it's been 15 years of excitement and craziness. I would call myself a generalist in marketing, so I always say I'm a full stack marketeer because thanks to my experience on startups, I've been involved in all kinds of online, digital activities for different type of startups, B2B, B2C, web, and app-based. So I would say jack of all trades for sure, but with a huge passion for startups and marketing.
From Spain to Berlin, 15 years in Berlin startup scene, and now you're CMO for Sprinque, which is a B2B payment solution.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. We help companies with their cash flow issues. The easiest way to go about it is say Klarna for B2B. It's what everyone understands. Thankfully, we have some differentiation there. We have a much more flexible infrastructure. No matter what your business model is or how flowing your e-commerce website is, we adapt to it. We have white label capabilities, which many companies appreciate in the e-commerce space. And what we have is cross-border functionality. So if your e-commerce is operating in 7 countries in Europe, we can definitely cover it.
Sounds really great. And like in every like B2B early stage startup life is not easy probably. So what keeps you up at night as a marketeer?
Many things, definitely. I would say in the B2B space, what's one of the toughest parts is to be able to identify the channels where your customers are, where you can capture their attention, what are their problems, what are the issues. Actually, marketing is trying to figure out what keeps awake at night your customers. So in order to sort their issues or give them the solution they need. And I think, it's increasingly harder and harder to find channels that get you in touch with the right decision makers at the right price point. So I think that's probably the B2B marketeer problem number one.
Why is it so hard? Because of the fragmentation?
Yeah, and like when you're in B2C, you're actually, you have your audience, but you pretty much know where they hang out. The market research there is pretty advanced. In B2B, you don't always, or you don't only are trying to capture a specific account, a specific company, or a specific industry. It's a bit more another layer of we need the decision maker, right? And I think that is a bit different where, somebody who works at X company hangs out versus the person that's actually moved the needle for you to close that account. I think it's another layer.
So your buyer persona is not always the decision maker. Sometimes there is the whole like buying committee behind it.
Yeah. And in B2B marketing or sales, it is a much longer decision-making process. There's a lot more people involved. And of course, the price point is a bit higher in many cases. So it's not just a user saying, oh, this is a nice tool. They start using it and then they convince the rest. So that would be, Slack. It's more like, oh, we have this problem. We need to start checking what's out there in the market, all the other solutions, and see which one works best. And then go through all the demos and then, convince 3-4 people that, okay, this is the way we want to move the whole company towards, and that we are going to stick at least 1 to 3 years with this decision. I think that takes a bit longer. Yeah.
So it's long cycles, and it's probably a combination of founder-led sales or like sales approach and marketing. So B2B marketing, content marketing, right materials and educational work you have to do for quite some months probably, and across multiple platforms and channels to get these people on board. Okay. So how does content marketing comes into play, like in your current job? What's your most secret hack?
I wish I could have like 5 hacks for you today.
Just one.
I would say in terms of content marketing, what you're trying is to nurture people in terms of identify their top 3 issues. What are the problems they are trying to solve that you have a solution for, and try to figure out how they think about it, which words they use for it. Actually, because when you're not super inside of an industry, or for example, in our case, we are working in 3 markets very strongly. A same concept is called differently in Spain, in Germany, in the Netherlands. So you need to figure out what are those names or concepts, and in every industry is different. So in logistics will be most probably different than in fashion or in medical equipment, or they have their own language, and you need to dig into that. I would say, be very specific, talk a lot with sales in product, because they have been doing the same quest as you of understanding what is this called in for every type of customer we are talking daily, and try to get all that inspiration on content through those conversations.
So they have the insights, and they speak their
end
client's language, and then you try to translate this language into your content marketing.
Definitely.
And what is the currently content marketing approach or strategy, if you could like break it down and simplify it? I think it's a 5-year-old.
I think we are still in a learning phase ourselves. We are the newcomers in our industry. There are bigger players than us. So we are putting a lot of strength in our flexibility and cross-border capabilities, because that's where we are better or are more adaptable. So we definitely dig into those 2 columns or 2 verticals of this is what we can offer. And I think we are good at not exactly talking about the same things as our competitors, and trying to innovate in that space, because also these 2 verticals are not important for each industry. We need to figure out which industry. So we've been trying to be industry specific and adapt to that, but we are still in the learning phase. And in terms of we are trying to, in terms of channels, we are betting on LinkedIn. We are betting on blogging, so like our blog and SEO. And I think so far has been giving us good results, but I think our marketing or content strategy changes a bit. It's a long game, and you need to be very constant, but you discover new things every day, so you need to be adaptable on that.
And what would you say is the biggest pain with the current startup?
Well, in the age of ChatGPT, I think to write fresh content that doesn't sound or feel ChatGPT produced, finding maybe using the tools as Kickstarter, but not as your your copy paste machine. I think you still need to be genuine. I think you need to still produce quality content, and there's so many things ChatGPT cannot do yet. So I think to find the balance between this is very easy, very fast, and I can just copy paste, versus but that's not exactly what is going to actually sell out there, or raise some eyebrows and say, I need this, right? So I would say find that balance.
Yeah, I agree.
In terms of quality versus speed, right? Because a founder will always want you to get a lot of content out really quickly, but you also have to be careful about quality, because in the end, you're protecting a brand. You've been building this company with this image, and you put time on your website, and that everything looks very nice.
The position,
and
the
then
story, tone of voice.
and then you get out with ChatGPT created content. Everyone will notice. Everyone with a bit of an eye for writing and for content will know.
Yeah, and there has to be the same tone of voice. And what's the balance between like, text and visual in your content marketing strategy?
Well, I think it's all about budget, being very honest, in the sense of video will always take more time, will always take more resources, and getting it right takes more time. So in the same way, when brands like Spotify, when then Netflix came, you will always like, oh, I would dream about this, big change in distribution of music or movies and visual content. It's a bit the same. We are now in the ChatGPT era, and yes, there are some visual AI tools, but they are not as good yet to produce a movie. You will know this is not real. So I think that's gonna be the next step. For us, budget-wise, we've only produced a video in 1 year. We do have capability for graphics, but I think the most important part is to get the branding right, which is very hard when you're a startup. It takes a lot of time and really an effort and a lot of intention. And sometimes it's not the first priority. So I would say in terms of strategy, you're always balancing the time you have with the resources and budget you have. And I have to say, visually, it suffers unless you find a tool that actually makes it.
You mentioned ChatGPT, you mentioned AI tools for video creation. What are other tools that you're using on a day-to-day basis for your content marketing startup?
Well, we're definitely starting with Content Radar. We are one of the lucky. Yeah,
Stay tuned for our launch.
We are having the honor or the luck to get started there. I would say for me, Canva was a deal, new era, okay, for sure. As a marketeer, I mean, I'm very happy she's a founder. She's a female founder. Yeah, and that made me extremely happy. I didn't know, but when I realized, I was like, wow, yes,
even better.
it's even better because it's a nifty, easy to use tool. It definitely has this female touch, and I always felt, oh, this solves so many things for me. I would say Buffer is one of my all-time favorites. They are still around, and they've been, going through the up and downs, being extremely open.
Using it for LinkedIn scheduling.
LinkedIn scheduling, Twitter. I mean, for as long as Twitter is still out there. Facebook, the X.com. I mean, the name is just okay, whatever.
Yeah, it's the X Empire.
And then, yeah, those are my favorites. I think I'm not super huge on tools because it's very easy to get lost on trying so many and this does this, this does that, and then it's very hard to integrate, right? That's, I think, the beauty of HubSpot, right? You have everything in one place. And while I'm pretty critical with some of the things you can and cannot do with HubSpot, it's very integrated and it's very well connected to other tools.
And you use it?
And I'm using it heavily since 7 years, I think now. I think HubSpot is my bread and butter, connected with LinkedIn, Canva. We use Figma in order to bridge the product with marketing. So I would say Figma is a great tool as well.
How do you get the analytics? Like, how do you know how many customers you've got through your content marketing effort?
Oof, that's a tough one. Because I mean, I'm not sure if I can explain this. It's a bit maybe too confidential from our side. But we are a startup that is 2.5 years now. So there's some decisions that you take when you are a 3, 4, 5 team members company. such as you start with Wix. Wix is a great website builder when you're just starting. It's tougher to, make it make sense when the company grows, the pages grow, the complexity grow. So I'm still stuck in this not so beautiful world where Wix and HubSpot don't talk to each other. That's a very tough one. But yeah, you always have hacks around that. Okay. I think that's part of also being a marketeer. Find ways to go about it, and then you can track. I would say, as long as you know where your traffic comes from, where the traffic comes from the blog, and you find a way for HubSpot to track it, then it can work. But it's been an adventure. It's one adventure I spent 3-4 months easily on my first time at Sprinque.
Different tools talking to
trying
each
to
other
figure it
for
out
attribution.
and trying to find just the right hack to make it happen.
And you found sort of.
I sort of found it. I think at the end of the day, because we are in account-based marketing, we are in B2B marketing, your first, you end up trusting more the analogical insights that you have from your team, because of course they always ask in the demos, in the discovery calls, whether how the first touch was. So that helps a lot to have the qualitative insight into the quantitative data that you have. But it's a very tough one for startups. I think many companies don't think too much about it, right? They just want to get started. They need to put something in front of other people, have to show an website, and they don't think what are all the consequences of a decision. I am checking tools to upgrade our website, so I am pretty excited about Webflow. And there's so many tools out there, but I think it's very hard to combine the budget, to reconcile budget with effort you need to put, how much of an industry standard that tool is going to be, because you need to be counting that you will not always be there, that the company is going to grow, that I started this marketing activities at Sprinque, but then like the company will grow and I will not be able to, be checking weeks with somebody because I will have many more other things to take care of.
You can hack something together, but it has to last.
Yeah.
Right? So it has to grow
definitely
together with the company, and it has to be sustainable.
Yeah.
So what would you say, like, how are you getting customers now versus how do you think Sprinque will get customers in the future? What will be the major shift?
We've been working a lot on awareness. As I was mentioning, we are pretty new. We are the new kid on the block, and we don't have the awareness. Other competitors from us have. They've been around 8 years, 5 years. They've raised 3, 4, 6, 10 more times than us, so their resources are much higher. All that said, I think we have been growing by word of mouth, because people who have been checking what's out there, they realize they can do much more with us. They can cover more topics. We have a very extensive solution, very flexible, that also works when you are bigger and you are in many, many more countries. So that is something that customers value. And that's been a big, good channel. To be recommended by somebody is very powerful. I also think our work we've been doing in terms of PR has worked very good for us. We've just opened offices in Berlin and in Madrid, and those news really, really went well. I do think going forward, it's gonna be more exponential. As many more people try us, there's gonna be a big part of being vouched for. So it's that's very exciting, because that's what you want. And I think we will be able to evolve our content marketing, making it more sophisticated. We will be able to go more not so much into awareness, which is where we are actually trying to cover now. We're gonna go more into consideration, and it's gonna evolve into that direction.
It has to convert better in the future.
Because we've been trying a lot on LinkedIn. It is a very tough game, especially if you're not a brand that people recognize. And I think going forward, we are not going to have to fight so much for attention. We will be able more to concentrate on showcasing what makes us different or what makes us more suitable for some industries and some customer like flows.
Okay, so yeah, many points to hit there. So it's building the brand consideration, kicking off this like referral word of mouth, flywheel, educating. So the life of the CMO is not easy, and ultimately you have to make a case for like a bigger team, bigger budget, and kind of justify also your efforts, right?
Definitely.
And what are you doing like all day long, packing together all the tools and also juggling the whole team. Thank you so much for sharing all this. And just to close this interview, we have the final question. When you look for inspiration outside of the B2B space, is there any cool app, maybe a consumer app for innovation that you stumbled upon lately? You mentioned Netflix and Spotify. Those are obviously established players. And could you imagine applying it to the B2B world? Sprinque or
I am a absolute, fan of new products. I would call myself a product veteran. I think I derive, inspiration from so many places. Our industry, Stripe is definitely my go-to, inspiration source. I would say there's so much out there that I really like. I think I have to say dating apps are huge innovators in terms of marketing strategies.
Which one is your favorite?
I hate them all. I'm not gonna lie, I've tried them almost all. I think Hinge, it's pretty good. I was listening a podcast from one of their researchers and how they try to make it more human and to make it more effective, because they go all about the tagline, we want you to delete this app. This is an app, we want you that the success is measured if you delete it. And she was excellent in terms of
stuff fun in regards to the customer lifetime value.
Yeah, right. Of course. But that's the most interesting part. When you're using the app, they find so many hard pushes towards you paying, because they know they have a limited time with you, that you're going to stick around. And they are really, really good at it. So I think this is a great way to figure out how to make people upgrade. I think dating apps are great on you learn how to make people upgrade.
Monetization and
absolutely.
Willingness to pay and upsells.
Yeah, and I think all delivery apps, I love it. How Volt goes about it. Flink, I think they are also very, very good at it. And it's very emotional, and I really like the out-of-door campaigns that they are having around Berlin. And my latest passion is digitalization of health, both for people and dogs. I have my dog here. You cannot
still
see
around.
Her. She's sleepy. She's a sleepy girl.
Okay.
There is Rex, is for dogs, and they are digitalization of vet offices, and they are really good at it. We just went last week, and I was like, okay, this is a vet office I'm really enjoying, because they really bridge this, like offline and online. Same with Avi Medical. That's one of my favorites. I don't know if you're based in Germany, but going to the doctor is an absolute pain in this country. So you usually go to the office and then you have to fill in a paper with all your very personal data, and it's something you need to do every single day. In Avi Medical, you put it on
like
the app.
Health ID card.
You have it, on your app. and then you go to their praxis in Berlin. They have 5 or 6 all around the city, so no matter where you are, you have an Abbey Medical around. And then you don't have even to check in. You're just waiting for your appointment, then you enter, 15 minutes max in and out.
Onboarding, perfect.
And then they
Digital.
do your test, whatever, and you receive the results on the app. Everything is digital. You don't do any paper. And to me, that's like a godsend. And I really hope that's the way we are going in Germany. And I really like, their UX, UI, and how they go about it. I think there's everywhere learning opportunities in all spaces. But I think in the B2B space, I really like what Stripe is doing. There's also Swan, they are French, but I really like their look and feel.
We use them as well. Bio.
Yeah. So there's so much learning in so little time.
Yeah, it's a lot, like great inspiration and great takeaways. Maybe like one last closing thought or sentence.
Well, I think we are in a very challenging time in terms of content. I think content takes so much time and so much thought and energy. But whether you are in B2B or B2C space, I think it's so important in terms of your customer is going to be checking, it's going to be comparing, it's going to be informing themselves on their best options. I would say B2B more is a bit less emotional than maybe B2C, but for sure people are going to Google, are going to search a lot before taking a decision. I think, it's content's here to stay. We're just hoping it's going to be easier to produce, distribute, and track.
Thank you. Very closing. Thanks for coming. Looking forward to having you as one of our early customers. Ciao, ciao.